I can't believe we have to replace our RV's roof.
What am I doing to my RV roof? Well, we're basically destroying it to rebuild it and make it better with a lifetime warranty. I can't wait for this RV upgrade.
So that patch from the original owner is already failing.
Yep, because there's the hole right there. It was already flipping up. It's not even stuck on the edges.
We might even be able to lose a few inches off of our RV height. Yep, sure enough, we lost an entire inch, more than an inch, off the height of the roof of our RV.
So then when you see how this grabs and snags, see, just doing that.
Oh yeah.
And that's, so if you had a tree branch, and that's where your snags come.
And it's not just one, it's hole.
So that's the majority of our thickness comes from that field area. There's your original rubber roof, and then our chemical.
And it's just surface damage to the top coat.
Wow, so that's a chisel.
Yeah, and so you just have, and it's to the top coat, not going through the roof.
So that color is really just
UV. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
The gray does all the work.
Okay.
That's what the flex armor does all the work.
This part is secret. Can't show you this.
I'm at RVroof.com, the home of Flex Armor. This should be one of the first upgrades you get on an RV that you intend to have a long time. I mean, RV roofs are not what they should be, and I'm a great example. This RV is only 6 years old, but our roof is failing, and it's time to get this thing replaced. We would recommend not waiting so long like what we did, and you start having problems like what we've got. Strangest harvest host yet. Come here, stay overnight, leave with a brand new RV roof with a lifetime warranty. And you can camp here overnight beforehand. They've got a 50 amp hookup here, and I think there might be some water around here as well. So I'm actually here 3 days early just to make sure we got here and have plenty of time. And this is great. I'll be here ready to go bright and early, 9 a.m. Monday morning. I'm Tom.
And I'm Cheri.
And we're EnjoyTheJourney.Life. This is the worst part of our roof right here. You don't really see anything until you push down, but you can see what happens. It's like the wood underneath is like wasting away or something. It's very strange. I don't know. I'm a little worried about what they're gonna find when they remove this. I don't think I'm gonna like what I see. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
I'm Reese.
Reese, all right. So Reese, you're with Flex Armor and you're doing what now?
Right now I'm just inspecting the roof, seeing if anything has leaked, if anything looks broken, anything like that. Obviously, like the attic vent's broken, so I would definitely want to make sure it hasn't been leaking, because that's just gonna be water that can go straight into the roof.
Okay.
It all feels solid so far. So I don't think we had any leaks. Then I'm gonna get what's up here, how many solar panels, how many ACs. I believe we're replacing all the vents. I think they're the ones that are in there. So it's just kind of getting to know what we're getting into before we get in.
Do a lot of people come up showing up with roof damage or leaks already?
A lot of the times, it's probably about 50-50. I believe like that one undercover right there, that wood pack, that one's got severe wood damage. That Montana was leaking somewhere they just recently dropped off. It all depends.
So that's great. You've got covered storage for units that are in bad shape then, huh?
Yeah. So anytime someone comes in that's got active leaks, we can put it under cover to keep it from getting worse before we can get to it. Most of the time, if you have an appointment though, it's going straight into the building, so there's not really a chance for it to sit outside. And the covered storage is mostly for like drop-offs and stuff that were they're like in line waiting to be done. I'm just kind of measure real quick, see how much we're doing.
I will point out this area over here and get your opinion on this right in here.
You got a hole right there. Oh, yeah. So you got some rotten wood right there, most likely from that little pinhole right there. So we'll get all that addressed. So it's sawdust at this point, and it's all just from that little hole right there.
You think
They got
that's
another one right there, and you can feel it's kind of swollen. So that one's been leaking too. It looks like tree branch skipped across it. You got another one right there.
really?
Yeah, and those are those little holes that get everybody. All it takes is these little guys, and just that little bit of water gets in there, and it can't really get back out because it came through such a small hole, and it just rots it out. So we'll get that opened up, dried out, and everything else around all your fixtures and everything look good. We always like to check little random caulk flops like that because it may have just fall off the gun, or you saw a hole and you put it on there. We never know.
Are there RVs that you see the worst roofs on, in particular, certain models?
They're all pretty much built the same. They're all kind of in the same ballpark of quality of built, even if it's like Mobile D suites, all the stuff people think are really high end. They all suffer the same problems. Some camper manufacturers have like specific problems. Like Newmars are really bad about leaking around the ACs just because of how the ACs are mounted. The AC bolts are mounted outside the gasket up on top of the roof, and people don't know that, and they never go back and caulk them or anything, so they always leak right around the ACs. Grand Design's been really bad recently about the front bubble. So the front rubber right at the front strip's bubbling up. What's happening is air's going in under that like the front nose around the hitch. It goes up and around, and it's causing it to blow up. That's why they started putting the attic vents in, but most of them aren't installed correctly, so they don't work. We've removed the attic vent mostly because we don't need it with our roof. Our roof's not going to blow up like that if air was to get in there, and the attic vent doesn't solve the problem anyway, so it's just an extra thing on your roof to leak.
So you just get rid of that attic vent altogether.
Yeah. And a lot of people, some people are like, oh, but they put it in there for a reason. It was like a house, but a house isn't like an attic space. You got like 4 to 5 inches of attic space in a camper, and it's all full insulation. And they weren't there before. They only started adding them when they had like the bubble problem. Older units and stuff don't have them. If it was that imperative, they would have been doing it for all the years they've been making campers. It's just to try to solve that front bubble problem. And we'll cut yours. When we take yours off, we'll see that typically there's 3 ways they don't do it right. One is they have the hole in the wood underneath, but they just cut an X in the rubber. Right at the bottom, you can kind of see it on this one. There's a screen in there, like a bug screen. Well, if they just cut an X in the rubber and air's going in there and it blows up, the X just gets pushed up against that screen, which seals it, and then nothing comes out. Sometimes they don't even put a hole in the wood. It's just roof there, and they just screwed it on there, so there's nothing underneath it. And then another thing, what they do is kind of similar to the rubber. There's a thermal insulating like tarp just underneath the wood. It's like a big foil tarp, and they either don't cut a hole in that, or the same thing, they just cut like an X in it, and same thing, it just blows up and seals itself against that screen, and no air is going anywhere. So they're very, very rarely installed correctly. So we'll see if yours is. We just did one last week that they just screwed it on the wood. It still had rubber and everything underneath, totally solid.
So what you're seeing, Reese, it's more likely to find it screwed up than to find it done correctly.
Probably about 90% of the time they're not done correctly. And it's to fix a problem that's not necessarily fixed. That's like a Band-Aid for an underlying problem that they don't want to fix because it would cost too much money.
Okay.
Because it's like a structural problem. It's like a problem with the manufacturer of the front nose and the hitch area, not the roof. But instead of fixing that, it's easier to tell them to slap that bad boy on there and hope. Skylight, I don't know if you guys have gone over any of that. You got 3 options. So you have spraying it in, spraying it over, or putting our flex skylight on it. If you don't worry, like, if you don't mind the light coming in and you never want to have to worry about it again, we can spray over it. It cuts all that light and heat. Hail's not going to damage the tree, branches aren't going to go through it. You just won't be able to see through it. If you want the light to come in, we can do spray up 2 inches all the way around the side, still lets that light in. But if it was to ever break, you got to get it replaced, resprayed, and all that. It's $200, not including like the price of the skylight if you buy the skylight. And then you have to set up an appointment to get it resprayed. It can be at any location, but it's still something you got to do. And then if you want the light coming in, but you're worried about having to get it resprayed if it does break, we have our third option, which is our flex skylight. So what we do, and we got a mock-up in there we can show you. We build a base around the top, so everything on the inside is totally the same. But up top, what we do is we build a base around it with a removable skylight that's sealed on there. So if that one was to ever break, you can come up here and replace it. You can buy another one, come up here, replace it. You don't have to come back, get it resprayed or anything. And so those are your options. So like I said, we can go in there and show you. We have all 3 in there so you can see them. That helps a lot of people too. So these are going to be our 3 options for skylights. These 2 can be done with any skylight, any size, any shape, neo angle, really big, really small. The third option, our flex skylight, only works with standard 18 by 24 opening skylight. So it's going to fit most campers because it's like the standard size. That's just something to keep in mind if you're ever looking at it.
So I need to compare what eTrailer sent against these options, right? To see, have you taken a look?
We saw the inner. I'm sure it's just a standard. I don't know if it's tinted or smoke. This is what they sent. Oh, it's tinted. So if you wanted the tinted one,
okay,
we did that.
Great.
So that would be, like I said, option 1 or 2 to do this. Obviously, option 3, we wouldn't install this, but that's totally up to you guys. It's actually frosted itself, so that's going to cut out a lot of the light coming in.
Is that another?
No, this is the inside.
That's the inside.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So between that and the tinted, it's going to cut out a lot of that light that's coming in and a lot of the heat as well. It's going to kind of diffuse it out, so it's not going to be as bright as if it was like a clear through and through.
Okay, great.
Which comes from the factory a lot of times. We really, really like these fans. The way they install is there's like a screw ring that goes into the roof, and then the vent attaches to 2 screws on the side. It's actually really similar to the idea behind our skylight. So what happens is we spray that base in, and if this vent was to ever break or you wanted to replace it with another one, all you do is take those 4 screws out and then you can replace it. You never have to bring it back to us to get it resprayed. Unlike a standard vents, the whole base is sprayed in. We come all the way up. If that was to ever need to be replaced, you'd have to cut it out, put a new one in. These Max Fan Deluxes, they're really, really nice because you don't have to come back if you would ever replace it. All we do is spray in that base. There's nothing to break on the base. There's no like moving parts or anything. It's just a frame that the vent itself screws into. So we really like these. So we do recommend them whenever people are asking for recommendations for swapping them out. So the way that we do like a standard sewer fixture when it's sealed, the reason why this wouldn't technically work if we were to put it like over the attic vent hole. The attic vent hole, if installed correctly, is just a hole in the wood. And we were to spray that over, spray this in, water still goes in there. We don't have any way to seal this inner void down to that wood. And even if we did, it would just leak. If this lid was to break off, it would just be raining into your ceiling. So then you're just rotting the ceiling out instead of the roof up top. If it even makes it down there, like I said, a lot of times that thermal tarp's there, water gets in there, and that's why wood damage spreads so much on campers, because it gets in between that foil layer into that wood and just spreads. When we do a standard sewer fixture, the pipe's there, and when we get it all sprayed and everything, if that lid was to ever break, it rains down into the tank, through the pipe into the tank. It doesn't ever have a way to get into the roof itself. So that's one thing to always think about. But that's how a standard sewer fixture gets sealed and everything. So if that lid was to ever break, it's always a possibility, even on ours. It's just raining into the tank instead of raining into your roof.
We might even be able to lose a few inches off of our RV height. Yes, when we remove these old air conditioning units, which are 14 inches off of the height of the roof here, we might be able to drop that a little bit. How cool would that be? So I've got a real treat for you guys today. We're here with Jennifer. You and your husband own RVroof.com.
Yes.
Right, which is basically Flex Armor.
Yeah, Flex Armor is our product, and RVroof.com was the company.
Okay. And you guys are like the originals in RV roof replacement, right?
With the sprayed RV roofs, we started this like 20 years ago. There was no other viable non-traditional method. And so we developed this special polyurea process in products. It's not just the polyurea to do a roof to eliminate caulking and leak points. Was the original point.
And it's a fairly secret formula, right?
Our formulas and our other products that go with it that make it work are exclusive to us, and they are proprietary.
And you actually make that product right here.
Yes.
And if this RV looks familiar back here, this is our RV getting ready to get this amazing new roof.
Yep, we'll be putting it on this afternoon.
And RV roofs are not built like they should be.
No, and they never have been. We see a lot of stuff where everybody's like, oh, don't buy COVID, pre-COVID, all that. But when it comes to the RV roofs, the main problem is really the industry hasn't changed anything. So even when they know that it's not working, they haven't changed anything in the last, 30, 40, 50 years, however long that they've been building them. So it's really not a COVID or pre-COVID thing. Now, I mean, you're seeing more on fifth wheels. They're not putting enough glue, that kind of thing. But the basic designs and stuff have not changed. And so they've always failed in the same spots.
Is there any RVs that you think have the best built roof compared to others, or they're just all bad?
It used to be you could say that, but now that so many companies, like used to be you could go, a Fleetwood had a certain level of higher quality than say Jayco, or which I'm comparing apples to oranges there. All the companies are being bought out by major conglomerates now. So there is no like Fleetwood pride and Jayco this or, KZ that. There's no differentiation now. We all know that like what Thor Industries owns, like what 5 or 6, if not more, lines, where they used to be individual companies. So 20 years ago, like Fleetwood roofs, man, they were solid. You very rarely saw any leak. You didn't see a lot of the problems because of the way they designed them. And now they're not really Fleetwood anymore. They're owned by somebody else. So it's really kind of, they're all going down the same path. It's about money. It's about kicking them out the door. So recently, I'd say in the last 5 years, there's not really anybody any different than the others.
Okay. So any that you would say these RVs have the worst roofs of any of them?
Anything that's flat. Motorhomes are usually the worst offenders on having the worst design, because they have the fiberglass or aluminum and they're flat, and they basically, we call it a swimming pool. They'll have like a big rectangle of trim with caulking and it holds water, and those are probably the worst ones. And they're typically fiberglass. So it's just, they hold the water and they just leak. They seep more than leak. So you don't even know it inside. It doesn't pour in like people think.
Wow, okay.
The flat or the roof, definitely the worst.
I've heard the Grand Designs have a particular issue bubbling up in the front.
It's not just Grand Design, it's all fifth wheels, and we're starting to see it more and more with travel trailers. And there's a different couple trains of thought, but one of the most common is a lot of the hitches, you're getting airs coming up underneath through that hitch into that end cap. So it's getting underneath the rubber, and that's what's blowing it up, you know, when you're going down the road. But it's not just Grand Design. Grand Design lately does seem to not like to put their glue evenly, so you get a lot of little bubbles, but the blowing up, that's not just them.
I've seen that going down the road. It's
Yeah.
like, if they only knew what the roof was doing.
I know, we're always like, how do you get people's attention, you know, when you're coming, because you said you see them coming towards you, but we're seeing it more and more with travel trailers too. And
Okay.
you used to never see it from travel trailers. And we
All right.
noticed when we're traveling, we're seeing it more and more on them.
So what's the first step here since we're pulled in?
We can go. Their first step is basically they're going to go in a little while and they'll take apart air conditioners, crank up any vents, take apart anything inside. Reese usually walks around on the roof and writes down if there's any special notes. Like I know you have vents that are going to be switched out and stuff. So we found if we write on the roof, it makes sure everybody knows. Not everybody goes and looks at the work order. So that seems to work the best. So he'll make notes on your roof of anything you're changing, and pretty much start stripping all your caulking and stuff off and getting the surfaces ready today.
Okay, great. So will we see the underneath today? Like what's going on up there?
Maybe later today.
Okay.
I don't know if they're pulling all the rubber or not on this one.
Okay.
And we get a lot of questions about that. We really, honestly, most of our locations, we're not out here trying to make a whole bunch. Like, we're not trying to up the price. Like, we all hate going to a dealership because we know they keep tacking on. You know, and so we try when we don't need to, when the glue is working and you have a membrane, it does a better finish. So if we don't have to remove it, we don't, because it costs more money to the customer. So if there's not a need, we don't normally do it.
Okay.
Some locations totally strip them down and put new wood for the smoother finish. You know, but like I said, that's kind of a personal preference between the shops. You know, if somebody wants to pay us the extra $1,500, $2,000 to resheet it, we'll do it. But most people are doing this out of pocket, so they want to keep the cost affordable. Another tall one. Oop, ran into something.
That wasn't me. That was the previous owners, but yeah.
We'll get it bent back in the picture.
Probably because of what we're doing. I'm just going to try and bend it back into shape.
Okay.
But like whoever did this originally could have probably turned it in on insurance and got a new roof. Because they damaged that.
Yeah, I don't know what they did.
They ran into something. You know, everybody always likes to talk about the internal bond tape, and they think it's so wonderful. But you see here where your tear was? It's not the best long-term patch solution.
No, so that patch from the original owner is already failing.
Yep, because there's the hole right there. It was already flipping up. It's not even stuck on the edges.
Huh. This right here is a problem area because it doesn't really hold out the water very well.
No, and it usually holds water. You see, you know, you already had water back there.
Right.
So that's why when we do the roof, we go down to the bottom. We'll replace this. We're going to clean all this out, dry it all out, and we take the roof down to here.
Okay.
And that way you don't have that water getting behind here.
Okay, great.
So that's kind of why we do that.
I was surprised to find out they don't even put any backing on this to keep out water.
Some manufacturers will have butyl tape, some won't. I don't know, you know what. This is what gets a lot of people's these splices. This is where a lot of the leaks will happen on people. And then too, when people complain about water dripping on their heads, it's usually the splice, like around your door or something. But these splices, it's amazing how many times that's how it's getting behind to the screws. That's why there's water trapped in there. It has those splices cause so much. We don't know why they don't use longer pieces. At the factory level, it's so easy.
Right.
But they don't. So you can see how much water is behind that. And that's what makes the screws start to rust off. So, and what they'll probably do, they'll clean this all up. And like I said, it'll be all dried out. and then we'll put in new insert trim. We do the new insert trim because it looks better.
Okay.
We tried doing it without it, but there's that lip that this goes in up underneath there, and it is very hard to spray and it looked pretty. So the trim just helps it keep a better finish. We don't end up with runs. We've tried all kinds of things over the years, and it just looks better in the end.
Opinion on that?
Well, you know, this is where I always say, and it looks like there's a little nick right here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
And that's probably what did it, really.
Okay.
That little tree branches, they get you. And I always say that the very best leak prevention on an RV roof is you knowing your roof, spotting it, because like if you're up here walking it, you catch these things before they get bad. Some people never get on them. They set them out storage for 5 years, and by the time they realize it, everything would be rotted out. So knowing your roof and being able to spot, because this would have got mushy before it went away, so you would have noticed a difference.
Okay.
So I always say walk in your roof, and just knowing it is your first line of defense. Because this wasn't caulking related. Everybody, it's not always just caulking. It's just a little nick in the membrane.
Right.
And we all know what it's like when we go to these campgrounds. We always end up with somewhere we're going underneath a branch. And,
yeah, definitely.
It gets us. Now, we were just talking about what roofs are better. You see how you have a curve? That is always better.
Okay.
Anytime there's a curvature, we usually see a lot less trouble out here. And that's because caulking repels water, but doesn't sit underwater. So when you have those really flat roofs, travel trailers are bad about the corners. There's a dip here. They almost always rot out. So any roofs that have a curve usually have less chance of damage.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
He was just testing your ACs. We always test ACs before we touch them.
Oh, okay.
We make sure all the ACs work, the vents go up and down, and if we notice anything or don't find something working, we video it with timestamp, and we usually notify the customer if we hear any weird noises, because when we put them back together, we don't know what it was like before.
Plus, we're getting a bunch of new things on the roof, some new vents and items like that, and that nasty leak that we had.
Yeah, you had one back here at the back, and then a little one up front.
Right, it looks like it's all filled in.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that common for RVs to come into your shop and you to see leaks and things like that?
Yeah, and it's not uncommon for people not even to know. It usually has to get pretty big and pretty bad before people see it. So it's not unusual, especially corners. We were talking about earlier, like corners of different units, especially if they're flatter. They'll leak and you don't know it until it gets really big, because most people don't like to go out to the edge and step on it. So it's not uncommon for us to find leaks.
We had a guy that lifted one of these up before, and on the inside it's like got its own little housing, and then all the components all fit together, all perfect. Yeah, so trying to get it from the bottom and the top and get everything to fit right, it's not.
Oh man. What do you find is like the biggest mistake RVers make with their roof?
Listening to people on the internet and putting a Turnabond tape over existing leaks.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different trade names, versions, but it's the real sticky tape. If you already have a leak and you use it and you use it long term, it traps the water. So your roof never can evaporate or dry out. And so that causes a lot more damage than people realize. It's a good temporary patch. And we've seen it in models where they do it at the factory level and there's never been exposed to moisture. It does help prevent, but if you've had a leak, it is not a long-term option.
And that was Eternabond.
Eternabond tape is the most common trade name you hear.
You guys just cover this area over, is that right?
Yeah, so we'll spray down to the bottom of this rail.
Okay.
So it covers the screw cover and everything, seals all those in and everything, but it doesn't like fill the gutter up and make the gutter unusable.
So if someone is buying a used RV and they want to know if the roof has been damaged, previously repaired, what are some things that you would look for that would say this roof has seen some, you know, previous damage?
If you notice, I hate to say if you notice that it's because it moves, because like on a fiberglass roof, they a lot of times do have some movement as far as the fiberglass kind of pop loose. But like a lot of times we see rubber roofs that have been replaced and they just don't feel solid. And what has happened is they like went somewhere and they didn't remove the old wood, the old roof at all. They put a layer of Luan down and then laid down a new rubber roof. And it does give it a funny kind of feel or look to it.
Okay.
So that would be something. If something just looks odd, it might be a situation like that. If there's lots of blobs of random caulk, a lot of times that's people who found holes and have just gone and put a blob of caulk over them. We see that a lot. If they have a rolled on coating, get an inspection because there's a large variety of rolled on coating, and the majority of them are not made for stopping the leaks. So a lot of times you see the coatings, they're trying to make you think that they just put something new on it and they're covering up a problem. So if you see it, especially fairly new, I would get an inspection.
Now, if you're new to the RV life or even experienced, I have a course that you can get available for free. It's the Beginner's Guide to RVing, and it's through RV Life or RV Trip Wizard. So if you are already a member, you can get this course completely for free. And as you may have heard me mention before, we love our RV Life and RV Trip Wizard membership, because that's how we navigate through the country and make sure we stay on RV safe roads. We keep track of our entire camping schedule, and it's just great being able to input all the campgrounds that we're going to be staying at and the dates, and then it tells us the route to take. We love it. Actually, I'll put a QR code right here so you can just scan it with your smartphone. And actually, I'll give you a code here on the screen that will save you 25% off of your membership. Yes. And then you can go to RV Masterclass, which is part of RV Life, and find my course. And again, there will be a link to this down below in the description and the pinned comment, as well as our other favorite camping apps.
See how they've already put a piece in at the bottom? Either they done it at the factory or it cracked afterwards and they put that piece of trim in there.
Oh, down below?
Yeah, you know, because they've got this big hole here,
Yeah.
so it loses a lot of support and it wants to crack.
Yeah, I actually have a crack in this corner over here.
And a lot of times that's an indication of, you know, the frame down at the bottom is all steel, and it's meant to flex to keep from cracking welds.
Right.
Well, all the aluminum framing above that is aluminum, and it's not meant to flex, so they start coming loose from each other. And
Okay.
that's what starts making these cracks.
Interesting. Have you heard of the flex frame failure issues?
We've got a dealer down in Palmetto, Florida, and they do a bunch. They're actually taking the end caps off, and they're having to reinforce and re-weld all that aluminum framing and put them back together. And that's what's causing all these cracks.
Yeah, so that's your shop that does that? Or
One of our dealers.
Oh, okay.
Like I say, there's a lot of shops out there doing that. Lippert, it's Lippert frames. So it doesn't matter what brand camper, they're all the same frame.
So do you think they're bad frames?
Something's not right about them.
Okay.
And what somebody told me was the frame is meant to flex, and that keeps welds from cracking in the steel.
Right.
But the aluminum frames don't flex like that. So it's the connection is the problem from the aluminum to the steel.
Okay.
I don't know what the answer is, but what they're doing wrong, but something's not right. I know 20 years ago you didn't have that problem, and today we do.
Okay.
All RV roofs, what we touched on a little bit earlier, all RV roofs are built the same. They all get their components from the same company, so it doesn't matter if you're buying the least expensive travel trailer up to the highest end coach. They use the same fans, they use the same vents, they use the same ladders, same gutter rail. They all are buying from the same people, and they all are following the same procedures that all RVs have been being built with for the last, 30 years, however long they've been, mass producing them. And so doesn't matter what brand you have. Like how you got little dents, it's like they just don't put it smooth, like so it's higher here and there's just little spots where they don't get it.
Okay, gotcha. It's still sticky too.
Yeah, it's still sticky, but that's why a lot of times
sticky forever.
you see
okay.
you see more texture in some roofs. That's just why. It's just that the glue, they didn't get it evenly applied, and it's like, so it's still sticky, but it just looks like little divots. So we don't normally pull the rubber off because that would cost you more money when we're doing a roof, and there's really not a need, and it's just going to cause more work. You don't have to do it. It's stuck well.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we're looking for. And it gives you a better finish in the end if we don't pull it.
Okay.
And these ones we always use these last screws because if we put the wood screws in them and try to countersink it, it'll crack your skylight. So.
Oh, okay.
Especially since you're not getting it sprayed over, I'm sure you don't want to crack it. That might be a problem.
No. I imagine the prepping is as much time or more time than the actual putting the product on.
Much more time than putting the product on. Yeah, that's where literally all the work is in the prep work. It's really got, it's an hour to spray it.
Okay.
Everything else is prep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, spraying it, painting it, real quick. Prepping it, that's what takes the time.
What are the biggest mistakes you see RVers make with their roof?
I don't know. I would say basically just anything that they patch, they don't dry it first. So they trap that moisture in there and really make it worse.
Using silicone based or whatever the newest fad is this year of rolled on coatings, when you roll stuff on a roof, there's a lot that aren't compatible. Even though everybody's using it, a lot of them peel and fail within a year or two. But people think because they've put this product that's supposed to last 30 years that they're good, and they don't go up and look. And then by the time they look, a lot of damage has occurred. So watching these rolled on coatings and really researching what one was designed and isn't silicone based. The silicone causes a lot of issues in the future.
Okay.
Because only silicone sticks to silicone. So if you put it on your roof and then you're trying to do something later, a lot of them, if you read the fine print, it says it's not made to stop leaks. They say that they're designed to basically just kind of protect from UV, which you have there. So if you have an active leak, a lot of them don't stop it. But advertising will mislead you to think it will.
Yeah. If people put a turn-on tape, they saw some skip across, kind of like what we saw back there, those series of small little holes, and they turn on tape over it, and it's wet, like you said, it's still wet under there, and then it can't get out, and it just gets worse and worse. A turn-on tape works really well, but only if you do it right. And most of the time, people just slap it over the front strip, anywhere there's caulking, and there's already water in there, it's too late, and they don't realize it, and then it can't get out, and then it rots out even faster. Or people who, we see it every once in a while, say like their ACs are leaking and they don't know why it's leaking. Typically it's the gasket. But what they'll do is like they'll take like a turn-on tape or duct tape and they'll tape around the whole thing and they cover up all the breathing holes like on the back, and then they burn their ACs up because they were trying to stop it leaking in the totally wrong spot. It's very, very, very rare that it'll leak because of the shroud. Most of the time it's water getting underneath the AC gasket. So a lot of people, they just try to tape the whole thing, burn the AC up, and you went from, you know, a simple patch, or sometimes all they had to do is torque the compression bolts down, because it's just 4 bolts to the compression gasket. So what would have taken them 2 seconds to fix, they just, you know, ruined an AC, and it's like a $1,300 repair now just for the AC.
Right.
So a lot of people, it's like they were trying, but they go about it the wrong way. And even the leak stopped, but that's because they ended up taping it like to the roof and everything, so water's not getting to that gasket to go in. But by then it don't matter.
Yeah.
And they never go back and check it.
Never cover up vent holes, right?
It's gotta breathe.
Grand Design, you have a little bit older one, so it's not a problem, but a lot of the newer Grand Designs, they haven't been putting very many screws back there, and the gutter's been coming loose. So that gives us an opportunity to make sure there's screws in every piece of that trim.
And they did actually find some loose
Yeah, I
on
heard
that
Dave
side.
say something. So that's been a real common thing, but I think the factories have just been kicking them out is the problem. This was your small leak. And notice it was like a little nick in the rubber somewhere right here, and it just spreads. One advantage with Flex Armor, we don't have to resheet your whole roof. If you get a new rubber roof, to make the glue work right, they usually have to resheet the whole thing, and we can do patches. So that saves the customer a lot of extra expense. That's why a lot of times you'll hear like it's $15,000, $20,000 for a new rubber roof. They have to resheet it, recut out all the holes, do all that. And we don't have to replace the wood unless you ask us to for some reason, or it's been rotted. So
and you're actually able to put it over top the old roof as well.
Yeah, and if it's in good shape and there's no water damage and it's adhered, we like to do that because it's a better finish as far as, because this dries so fast, it will mimic what you're spraying over. So you'll have some texture when it's the OSB or the plywood. And so if we can keep the membrane, it just helps keep a smoother finish. But some customers were willing to pay and resheet. Like I said, we just don't do it as default because most people are paying out of pocket and we're trying to help them keep it affordable.
When you're looking at buying an RV, the salesman's going to tell you you have a 10-year, 12-year, whatever warranty on your rubber roof, vinyl roof, or what have you. And what that means is the manufacturer of the rubber or vinyl, they guarantee it to be stretchy like this. And it will. If nothing ever touched it, it would stay like that. The caulking only lasts 90 days. That's all they guarantee caulking from the day they build the camper. They guarantee it not to leak for 90 days. And that's it.
Wow. So people think they got this long roof warranty, and that's...
Yep. The material, if it doesn't get cut with a tree limb, they guarantee it for 10 years. And if a tree limb never hit it, it would probably last that long. But the caulking, 90 days.
So then when you see how this grabs and snags, see, just doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, so if you had a tree branch that's of any significant, but you see how it did it right there. And that's the same thing. That's just running the same chisel over it. And that's where your snags come.
And it's not just one, it's hole.
Right.
Wow.
And then when you have this situation of something falling on it, see, it goes right through it. If you know, that was the same amount of force. You know, I'm not that strong. You see it immediately cuts right through that rubber.
Okay, right.
And you can't do that with a Flex Armor.
Okay.
That's usually, if you've managed to puncture a Flex Armor roof, you have a lot more things you're worried about than your roof.
So Jennifer, are there products that an RVer should never use on their roof, either to try to seal it and to clean it?
Definitely, if you have a regular rubber roof or vinyl roof or anything, like Flex Armor, you can use whatever you want. You'd have to have a pretty strong solvent to hurt it. But when you got regular RV roofs, I mean, you can't use bleach. Like if you have a rubber roof and you use bleach, it'll actually almost instantly shrink it. Like you have to really be careful. You can't use petroleum-based products on rubber roofs. Vinyl roofs are a little bit tougher, but bleach and stuff will really damage them chemically. So you really need to make sure you're following the manufacturer's recommendations, because it doesn't take much to damage some of these membranes.
Okay, and I have the vinyl roof, is
yeah,
that
it
right?
looks like it's a vinyl one. It wasn't the rubber membrane. So, but I said I would definitely look at the manufacturer's directions. And that's another thing with the sealants. I know that there's great silicone sealants, or there's other kinds of caulking, but the whole point of the self-leveling ones that are sold with these different systems is they stay pliable in the sun. And like silicones, they don't always stick, and it looks great, but you can grab hold of it and it just pops right off. So when you get that water, you get that ice, it'll get underneath those things and just pop loose. So the whole point of the self-leveling dicors is that they stay flexible in the sun and they stay stuck to the different membranes and stuff. So they were designed for the RVs, but I know everybody got lots of opinions on that too.
What other common mistakes do you see with the build with roofs?
If you, on your front and rear strips, if you ever notice more than one, usually means the rubber was too short and they put another strip because they couldn't get it all the way to the end. A lot of people don't realize when they build these on the assembly line, it's on a big roll and they just pull it out. They have 15 minutes to get it glued down. So if they pull it off that roll and it's a foot short, they're not stopping and starting over. They'll add a piece, they'll add a new transition strip, they'll do whatever, because that camper is about to move. So you see really weird things. You'll see attic vents for no reason because they've put a cut in the rubber by accident.
So that they'll just add a vent where that
cover the hole.
Mistake was, or add an extra strip of
transition
sealant.
strip, yeah, just to hide where they didn't quite make it. That's real common. But,
and I know you've talked about this before, but the gluing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it does seem to, this has been more common with Grand Design. They're not spreading the glue evenly, and we don't know why. Glue's there, but it's just like thick and thin. It's not like anybody, so I don't know if it has to do with how they're applying it there, but usually, and especially in older campers, it's a nice, even coat. And so when you glue down the rubber, or vinyl, it was nice and fairly smooth. But Grand Design been having, and I showed you some, unless it's hard to video, but it's like little dips and valleys. There's glue in the valleys, but it's thicker in other areas.
Okay.
So I don't know what they're doing different on that. Or we've had people come in, because your front AC sits there and it has a metal frame, some of the older ones. You'll start to get a straight cut at the front of your AC, and you're like, how is this getting cut? It's blowing up, going down the road, and it lays back down flat. When it's hot, the glue sticks back down. You don't know it until it finally just tears off. So that's always a good one on fifth wheels, and we're seeing an increase in travel trailers doing that too. So if you notice funny wrinkles that weren't there in the front, they're getting worse or they're moving, might be blowing up when you're traveling.
Besides tree branches, what other things cause, and the corners of flat roofs, what other things cause RV roof damage or leaks?
I guess if you're out west, we see a lot of hail. Like here in Florida, we don't have as much hail damage. But when you start getting out west, they have some pretty horrific hailstorms, and they can cause punctures in your roof that you don't know it. And then I don't think we had one up here, but the attic vents that they put on these things.
Oh yes, I did have one.
And we get rid of them. But those get damaged a lot in a hailstorm, and that's a 3-inch hole right into your roof space. So that could get damaged in a hailstorm and it rots out. And those caps, like I took video of yours, your cap was half gone. So that's a hole straight inside the roof. And the reason we get rid of them is everybody thinks it's like an attic vent like your house. Well, your house has eaves or a fan, if you don't have eaves, to bring in cooler air from outside, and the hot air rises out. Well, you saw when we opened yours up, it's stuffed full of insulation. There is no airflow in these things, and there is no eaves for cooler air to come in to force hot air out. So we get rid of them because of the fact that it's just a big hole into your roof.
So what, on a typical standard RV roof, what kind of maintenance does it need?
On a traditional one,
Yes.
the resealing. I mean, if your self-leveling decor is starting to crack, dry up, you know, needing to replace that. When we first started this, they used to tell you you had to take it off and clean it with like alcohol or, you know, and then reapply it. But I think too many people would poke holes in the rubber roof doing that. So now it seems like the recommendation is just cleaning there and putting caulk over caulking. And there's different trains of thought as to how effective that is. If you have a lot of the rubber roofs, I know that they recommend conditioners and stuff to keep them supple, UV protectants to extend the life. The vinyl roofs are supposed to be maintenance free, so I don't think you have to do any cleaners, special cleaners or conditioners. And fiberglass probably help to keep those waxed because that gel coat just eats away on those, and that's when they start to crack and have problems. But those are probably the most common maintenance kind of items, and the caulking's the number one. And that's one of the advantages with Flex Armor. We don't have to do any special cleaners. You don't have to condition it. It'll stay just fine, stretchy. It still flexes. It's real flexible but super tough.
Okay.
And you don't have to do anything special to keep it that way.
Just about ready for the fun part, to actually start putting the coat on the new roof. And this process is so cool, and they've really put a lot of thought in figuring out the systems to make this work. A big thanks to eTrailer for providing the new vents in here. These are so awesome. You'll see a complete list of everything eTrailer provided down in the description. But for anything for your RV, for your truck, for camping, all kinds of accessories, upgrades, go to etrailer.com. That's where we get almost all of our RV supplies. eTrailer is awesome.
We can actually make it dry faster, but this is the sweet spot.
Okay.
If you make it dry too fast, now we can't make it slick. It would be rough.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm going through and I'm getting all these little pieces of trash and stuff. We try to keep the roof as clean as possible, but the floor is dirty. You guys step on the floor at some point to get on the roof. So we track stuff up here. So I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna cut all those out, get it flat, make sure I don't have anything. Like this looks like a hole. This looks like a hole, so make sure I don't have anything missing. Kind of like our final check before the slick pass to make it look pretty. So this is kind of like our last inspection before we finish the roof off. So I'm just gonna come back, mark it so I don't miss it, and I'll just come back and spray right over it.
Okay.
So I'll walk the whole roof. Anything I don't like how it looks, anything I'm not sure about, I'll mark it and I'll go back and fix it.
That's kind of a cool thing.
We were just talking about how the roof material itself is gray, and the only reason why it has pigment in it is the materials themselves are actually like clear or like an amber, but when you're spraying something on, that's really hard to judge how thick something is. So with it clear, you would have it a ½ inch thick and not realize it. So the pigment just helps you know where you've sprayed and how thick you are. Because once we can't see through it, then you definitely know you've got enough product on the roof.
So this is the protective coating here.
Yeah, this is doing all the roof work. This is the waterproofing part. This is what's bonded. This is what's doing all your work. And then we put a white UV stabilizing top coat on it that's more reflective, cooler, and gives that extra layer of UV protection.
So even if that white cover
if the white is gone, the worst that happens is this is going to turn green because it's not a UV stable pigment. but the product itself has an extremely slow UV deterioration rate. So it's good at this thickness for 20, 30 years, if not longer, depending on what part of the country you're in. So that's why we let it have a lifetime warranty, because the whole system's designed to be UV stable for 40, 50 years easy.
Okay.
So right now we're pulling the wire. The reason we pull the wire then paint it is we want to pull that wire while the chemical is still curing and it's still soft. If we waited till like tomorrow to pull the wire, it'll be so, like, the chemical will be so strong, it'll break the wire and we won't be able to pull it and get a good cut. So we always try to pull it as soon as possible. So what we'll do is we'll pull the wire, leave the masking on, and then we'll paint it. And then tomorrow we'll peel everything off.
Okay.
All that chemical being all up in the gun and everything, and all the masking obviously having adhesive on the back, everything will stay right where it's at. We're just pulling that wire out.
And it's just surface damage to the top coat.
Wow, so that's a chisel.
Yeah, and so you just have, and it's to the top coat, not going through the roof.
So that color is really just
the UV. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
The gray does all the work.
Okay.
That's what the flex armor does all the work. So like if you go under a low hanging tree branch, usually that's about the most that you have is scratches in the white, but it won't puncture, it doesn't snag.
Okay.
You know, when you have the membranes, it'll snag and go all the way through. But I mean, you can sit there. We've had people go under bridges and tear everything off and the roof is still fine. We've had situations where they've come in and every camper in the campground was damaged from like tornadoes and their roof is fine. It's really hard to damage it. And we always tell people, if you manage to puncture it, you've probably got something more you're more worried about than the roof at that point.
Okay.
Lifetime RV Roof in Missouri, if you go to their Facebook channel, we always laugh that they have the record of the most campers that have had trees fall on them. And he's got some video and some testimonials from customers that show whole trees and the roof is still intact.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty tough.
That way, if one day these little hands decide to break, you'll just scrape this one off, glue another one back on, and you'll never have to worry about it leaking. It'll just go into your tank.
Cool.
Trim plate that goes up against the ceiling, it's heavier than what most of them are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's thicker steel.
So the new
Air
ones
conditioners are heavier too.
Okay.
I got it. Yeah.
So what was your name again?
Randall.
Randall. So Randall, you've got a tip here for people that are using the RV airflow system here to make it even quieter.
What you're going to do is you're going to take aluminum tape and you're going to want to go along this seam at the top, this seam at the side, this seam at the side, and then double check these seams. And you can feel it with your hand if the airflow's coming through. And once you tape even just these 3 seams, it'll get a lot quieter, probably 50% quieter.
And even more airflow?
Yes, you'll get more airflow because you're not going to have so much escaping through all these little seams here.
Okay, wow. Great tip.
Because there's a gasket here, but there's no gasket around there. So that's why if you tape it, then the air can't escape.
Okay.
They make a huge difference, especially in the noise levels.
Good deal.
That's what I've noticed anyway.
Well, yeah, heftier, and the air conditioning unit's heftier too, isn't it?
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's heavier, I know that.
Yeah, and this unit is heavier duty.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're looking forward to good things out of this unit.
Oh yeah. Hopefully there's a lot of cold air that comes blowing out of there.
Yeah. Cold, quiet air.
Quiet air, that's your key word there, huh? Quiet.
Yeah, cold and quiet.
How cool is that? We actually dropped height of our RV with this air conditioning install. These EcoCool air conditioning units are more than an inch shorter. They are 12 3/4 inches tall. Isn't that something? So that means that we can go to our RV Life Trip Wizard app and put in the new height of our RV. So that is really cool.
And our EcoCool air conditioning units are made by Gree, the world's largest manufacturer of AC units. And actually, here's one of their units right here, and we are at a state park right now, so pretty cool that this building right here is being cooled off by a Gree air conditioning unit, as well as our RV right over there.